Do-do. Do-do-do. While I try to forget the horrors that come in a box.
Good morning to you, Luke.
Oh my. Speak of the devil and she shall appear. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, Kylie grins up at me as soon as I open the bedroom door. She swings the backpack she's clutching, hitting my leg in a show of impatience and looking entirely unapologetic for
Did you
it.
just wake up? Oh, tell me you forgot. It's our play date today.
Shut up, kid, alright? Jesus. I doubt I'd forget. Kylie's visits are frequent enough thing that they found a way into my schedule. There's supposed to be visits to her godmother, but we can't pick who a child gets along with. So long as I'm not busy, her father can drop her off for the day. Which is all well and good for me if it makes Suarez focus on work I've given him. Besides, she's a bright child, tolerable, kid's got a good head on her shoulders and can get pretty mature for her age at times. Of course, they have to thank me for that. Her parents can take partial credit, but Hannah and I have been there for this kid since she was just a small babe. Why, I can still remember the first time I saw her. It was during her baptism. The only reason I was there was to accompany Hannah, who was to be named godmother. She was such a tiny thing, not even a year old, and swaddled her mother's arms and white cloth. It was the first time I really saw an infant up close enough to hold one, at least. It had been terrifying to be given a little child to carry after the whole water ceremony. I've never done so before that, to hold a tiny life in my arms. I could have just dropped her on her head and this little tyke before me would have stopped existing then and there. But the child just smiled at me, babbling nonsensical words as children do, and clinging to me even as I tried to hand her off to Hannah. She had thought it hilarious and adorable. My suit had been a mess, and I was nearly an anxious wreck by the time I handed her back to her mother. It was pleasant, too.
Of course I didn't, you little rugrat. I just had to take care of something before you arrived.
Really? Well, I guess that's fine. As long as you told me for work like last time.
Really? Now why don't we go back down and have breakfast in the parlor?
I already ate at home. Papa made one of his tortillas de patatas. He wouldn't let me leave until I finished every bite.
Ah, Suarez's infamous tortilla de patatas. Those things are a hazard. You could probably use one to bludgeon someone into submission on how huge they are. It's a miracle Kylie can still be so energetic. I had trouble staying awake the first time I had one. Speaking of staying awake...
Well, I need some coffee in me at the very least. But if you'd like, you can jump straight to dessert.
Yes! Dessert, please!
It's easy enough to manage Kylie with the promise of sweets, thankfully. The hard part is managing her before she gets the sweets, because I nearly have a heart attack when the kid races down the stairs. Just the thought of her slipping and breaking her neck is enough to make me rush down after her.
Slow down, the food isn't going anywhere.
The food is going somewhere. In my tummy.
Jesus fucking Christ. Children.
With a shake of my head, I usher Kylie towards the parlor and order a maid to bring food for us. Whatever breakfast there is, along with a cup of coffee for me and an ice cream for Kylie. But I can't leave the kid alone for too long unless I want to let her turn the other room into a slaughter ground. True to my expectations, I've only left Kylie alone for a few minutes, but she's already made herself comfortable. The stuff from her backpack has been left scattered across the room, from coloring books and crayons to toys. She's well equipped to amuse herself with no trouble, though I can certainly breathe a little easier if she won't bring her doll along every time she visits. Narcissa, or Sissa, is a creepy little doll. It doesn't help when Kylie left her during one. Finding the thing at the bottom of the stairs staring up at me at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning is a memory that won't be leaving me anytime soon. Even now, it stares at me from where it's seated. I'm wholly tempted to just throw the thing in the fireplace and banish it from whence it came. Buy her a prettier doll, a better toy. I will break it, find a way to get rid of it. If it wasn't for Hannah and only Kylie isn't so attached to it. The thing is some antique doll she found from Brat's 6th birthday, one of a kind. My darling Hannah loves her so. And Kylie does try to be a good goddaughter, but she just can't keep her interest long enough with the wife. It's not something that Hannah does wrong on her part, she does try so very, very hard. It's just that she doesn't quite know how to really handle children. She'd never been around other children when she was young, surrounded by protective adults who catered to her every whim, worried for her safety every minute. When she isn't able to keep up with Kylie, her first instinct is to be strict. Impose rules on the child, treat her as if she's made of spun glass, like every movement might break her. I at least have some idea for being around street kids. I know the games they've played and how they think. I know that scraps and skin knees are all part of childhood. Even with how I grew up, I had time to be a child and not some sheltered life. With Kylie, as behaved as she can be with her toys and her books and art, she has to use up all her energy somehow. To run around the playground and make a mess in the mud, or even to just fake wrestle for a short while, let her be a child when she wants to. If it's become too much, just bribe her with sweets or ship her back to her papa. Problem solved. Unfortunately, Hannah isn't quite up for those sort of things most of the time. Thinking it'll spoil the child, it turns a whole playdate awkward every time. Taking the last seat left, I pluck one of her coloring books from the table to see it filled with dinosaurs. Not exactly what I expect to see from a little girl, but it doesn't hurt anyone. If she wants to play with dolls and cars, or dolls with their cars, what do I care? She once put dolls' tutus on model cars.
Oh, this is a new one. The last one you had was filled with horses, wasn't it?
Those were ponies, Tio. They're much cuter than horses. But we went to a dinosaur zoo, and it was awesome! Dinosaurs are my favorite.
I have no idea what that is, but it must be something. I'm only familiar with the T-Rex myself.
Yeah, they found, fossils of its claws. They're really long. They think the whole theory might be a bazillion meters tall, even bigger than a T-Rex. Cisa says it'll be big enough to eat all my classmates.
She only laughs as I scrunch up my nose and
Takako
grimace.
says you're making a really funny face.
Taka who?
Takako, a friend I made.
I have to stop and look around, expecting one of the help to be there. Child does have a way of befriending just about anyone as long as she puts her mind to it. Yet the two of us are completely alone. Thankfully, she only finds my disturbed look as another funny grown-up expression. That might be a lot more problematic than whether she plays with dolls or cars, though. Both the thought of Sissa giving Kylie ideas and one of said ideas being a masquerade, something I probably need to bring up with her father, aside from work. But beyond murderous dinosaurs, creepy dolls, and imaginary friends, I find no trouble with Kylie. She's as energetic and preoccupious as any tyke her age can be. She's an angel if she can get comfy and settled in after getting her sweets. We tuck into our waffles as soon as food is brought in. It's afternoon already. Our waffles because she wanted her own plate to go with the ice cream as soon as she saw mine. Fresh plate of berries is brought in as well, which really goes great with the rest of the feast, as Kylie puts it. And if I indulge in the sweetness, I have a cup of black coffee to pair it off with. With our bellies full, Kylie grows content with just scribbling on a scrap of paper and calmly chatting about her week. She talks of her older brother Rowan and their parents, how they plan to go to the Bloxland in Berkshire. She talks of Miss Pink, and I have to shift my legs to become comfortable once more. The memory of my initial meeting with her is still fresh on my mind. The little bride is quick to defend her favorite academic as well. The woman has yet to offer a proper apology, and she wishes to give one on her behalf, all diplomatic like I taught her. She talks of the sad man in the park and of her new friend who likes to play hide and seek when she's not sniffing in the loo. What? Sniffling. When finally she finds something new to talk about, she goes back to her drawings. That'll change as soon as her stomach settles, of course, the calm before the storm. Because behaved as she is right now, I can feel the curiosity just radiating off her. There's a restlessness buzzing under her skin and a question on the tip of her tongue, as they often are with children her age. But for now, I can take this piece with no complaint for however long it stays. Have fun with the crayons as well, at the child's insistence, even if I can't really draw. With Kylie using the black crayon that leaves me with the blue one, I absentmindedly start to draw a puppy to the best of my abilities. It's as I attempt to give the doodle dogs another eye that Kylie breaks her silence.
Tio? Where did Tia go? I saw them leave when I got here. Tia didn't look so good.
I've been expecting a lot of different questions. Kid always has a whole bunch of them ready for me, but I can only sigh when she posed this particular one.
She's just going to the doctor's for a checkup.
And as kids go, there are follow-up questions.
And you didn't go with her?
Well, you were going to be here, sweetie, so I had to stay behind.
So she's all alone? At the hospital?
Oh, no, of course not. Tia has Johan's and her maid and a guard. She's got plenty of company.
Yeah, but you're not with her.
If I didn't know better, I'd say this kid is trying to make me feel guilty. I want to say that little tyke is evil for making me feel so.
But I understand. When I get sick, Papa and Mama have to leave me with their maids, too.
Well, they don't take care of you?
That doesn't sound right. Even my mom took care of me when I was sick as a child.
Well, they're always busy with work.
Oh, I see. I guess that's no good.
I know she doesn't mean to accuse me of anything, but as her father's boss, maybe I do overwork Suarez a bit. There's a lot of responsibilities that only he is capable of carrying out. Delegation is a thing, sure, but when said responsibilities are legally questionable at best, putting others to the task isn't always an option. But
Maybe your papa is in need of some vacation time. He deserves it, doesn't he? He's a hard worker. I could arrange something for the holidays.
I could cut him some slack. Some of his assignments can wait. I can't do much for her mom. She isn't one of my employees, but this would have to suffice. It will be worth it if it makes the little girl happy, because just like that, the somber look on her face turns into one of pure joy. It's like looking at a little sun, warm and bright. It's nice to do something kind every now and then.
Would you really, Tio?
Would you like that?
I'd like that very much, yeah! We can go to this museum! There's one with lots of cool trains and planes! I like trains! And there's the local manor theme park! And a monkey forest! There's a kid adventure farm too, the wacky warehouse, and a play barn as well, and...
Whoa, slow down there, Munchkin. I know you're excited, but I think you should let me schedule your dad's day off before you plan a whole year's worth of stuff.
There's an embarrassed giggle, but she does reel herself in enough to calm down, which is a feat in and of itself. It's obvious how giddy she is. And if she wasn't looking forward to the holidays before, like any child should, she does now.
I think Tia would be really happy if you were with her. You could have told me you needed to go to the hospital with her, Tio. I won't be angry.
I'd love to be with her, but I wanted to spend time with you, Munchkin. And she told me to stay. Besides, I don't like hospitals. They always smell like alcohol. And not the good kind either.
I don't think anybody likes hospitals. They're scary. But you said Tia is brave and strong.
That she is.
A content silence comes over us as we go back to scribbling. Though I stop when I'm done with my blue dog, cringing at how awful it looks. Kylie reprimands me for that because I should be like her. The little tyke goes through several sheets of paper, one drawing after another, practicing, she says, because practice makes perfect. Not to mention there's a drawing contest coming up in class and she has to beat Tim from Class D who says girls can't be superheroes. Clay gets a turn too, where we start sculpting food and pretending we're Michelin chefs. When we're too tired for tossing pizza and making cakes, there's no trouble in finding another activity more relaxing for the both of us. I find myself invested in reading The Picture of Dorian Gray once more. Often I lose myself in the pages of the book. However, it is rather difficult to do so when I'm also trying to keep an eye and an ear out for Kylie. I've been reading the same paragraph over and over again even. Inexplicably, I can feel my skin crawl when the girl sits with Narcissa by the parlor's fireplace, humming, singing, though I ignore it long enough to only hear the tail end of the song.
Everything is up in flames, up in flames, up in flames. Everything is up in flames, my fair lady.
I don't think I can spend any more time with Kylie. So it's a good thing that Suarez came as soon for her. Though it is earlier than an agreed upon time, he voices no complaints. The pastor even has a look of relief as soon as they left. Or at least I interpreted as such as where I stood by one of the windows, not bothering to step out and greet the man. No doubt he still doesn't trust me around his spawn. Well, he has every right to be suspicious of me. I am a dangerous man, after all. But to my chagrin, that leaves me with the rest of the day with nothing to do. Time for some spookies. Well, aside from picking up the mess Kylie left scattered about in the parlor. To my immense relief, she remembered to take her doll home with her this time. But the same cannot be said of the crayons and paper littered here and there. First things first. I snatch my own doodle off the table and rip it to shreds, leaving no hope that I'll be seen in the light of day. The rest of the drawings, all Kylie's, remain unharmed as I collect the lot. Though they have been stacked neatly on the table before, they must have been blown about when I saw Kylie off. And there are plenty of them. From cats and cakes to colorful rainbows and gardens, the child managed to make a lot during her morning here. There is one more that I have to fish out of the fireplace where it landed. Expecting to see another one of Kylie's masterpieces, I am instead greeted with something a bit more concerning. There's me and there's Kylie, the two of us side by side, smiling as our stick figures selves stand in a nondescript field that I can ascertain without looking at the labels below the doodle's feet. But a third figure stands next to me in the drawing, a woman with her face hidden behind a curtain of black. Takako, the writing under her supplies. Takako. Takako.
Taka who?
Takako, a friend I made.
The hairs on the back of my neck stand on the end, and I feel a chill go down my spine. A breath that isn't mine. That has me turn around, expecting, hoping to see someone, anyone. But nothing. And that's when I hear it. Laughter, sweet and merry laughter ringing from the ballroom. Thinking about it has my cheeks burning and my blood running hot. It is as if I'm being mocked. As I stomp towards the door, I have to stop myself from shouting up a storm. I expect to see some of the help dallying about idle from their duties. Perhaps they thought they could slack off in their duties without the head butler around and with my preoccupation with Kylie. Well, they had another thing coming. Ain't no one in here. But again, nothing. Nothing from what I can see with a cursory glance at the very least. I roam around looking for near impossible hiding places, and still I am all alone. Yet I can still hear the laughter, that accursed laughter, echoing about in the room, in my head.
Who's there? Show yourselves and show some respect to the master of the house!
Just insane. Cold uneasiness settles in my stomach, and when no one answers, I stumble on my own 2 feet, feeling a wave of nausea coming from nowhere. I have to put a hand against the wall to stay upright when the world shifts and pain explodes from behind my eyes. It takes every ounce of my self-control not to heave then and there. The only thing my pride allowed me to do then is to close my eyes and attempt to alleviate some of the pain. Vague, unfamiliar images, dare I say memories not mine, flash in my head, unbided and unwelcome, like a strong hammer strikes to the head, threatening to crack my skull and split it in two. Whatever emotions they hold are muted. I'm nothing but a spectator. Still, it ways feel palpable. Though it doesn't take long for these sensations to get in my head. Through my eyes and my ears, it creeps and buzzes in the spaces between. It hurts. She doesn't want this.
You lacked care. You forget your place, and you've indulged yourself far too much in this fantasy of yours.
This is vile, like vomit and sludge brushing against my skin before it covers me until I'm weighed down. Disgusting. Wrong. Stop it.
You've overstepped your boundaries and livery.
Stop it. This is wrong. Please.
May I remind you that you are nothing but a servant, a slave. An unattractive, unchaste harlot who thinks too much of herself.
Please, no more. One after the other, they come at me, an unending flood that threatens to sweep me away from what feels like an eternity. Each one a show of both joy and suffering from those who have called this mansion their home. Each new scene is like a hammer to the head, threatening to crack my skull and split it in two. I can feel every little emotion in the blurry images that presents itself in my head. I feel a part of these, like I've lived through them, though I know that is not possible. All their anger burns through me, that much is evident, but the pain more so. Above all of it are the whispers. The voices calling, luring until one image emerges in vivid contrast with the others. When there's a shout of joy, my eyes snap open, looking for the culprit. That's when the whole room just changes. Everything is the same, yet everything isn't. There are people everywhere, laughing and dancing. I should be concerned about them, but my mind finds it easy to dismiss them as they fade in and out from nothingness. Instead, I find my concentration drawn to a man and a woman, though one can only call them a lord and a lady, going by their clothes. And oh, just how happy the couple looks. Though the man's eyes are eerily blank, like he's not there at all. His face is familiar, though. In fact, they both are. But I can't place why. The two make for a pretty picture as they dance in the center of the ballroom. Even the Phantom's crowded attention stays on them. It reminds me so much of Hannah and I during the early days of our marriage, the honeymoon years, they call it. We were happy then too, all smiles and our sunshine, even with the normal dreary weather. Younger we had less to worry about, or at least not that way. I wished we could go the way even with all we did and had to do. But life has a way of catching up. There was work to be done. Although we had to stay the loving, perfect couple in public, I could not afford to look so weak. To appear tied down to someone else, to those who really know who I am. I had to harden my heart when I had business, but it hadn't always been so easy. I should be concerned about their intrusion too. Ask what in bloody hell they are doing in my house, throwing a party as if they own the place. Ask myself how the fuck I didn't notice what was going on when the parlor and the foyer were both only a few doors away. But I have the feeling that yelling and screaming at them won't do much of anything anyway. None of the others have given me notice. I realize that this might not even be real. It dawns on me that these two people are from the paintings, the ones all over the mansion. Which makes sense. I don't think I'm imaginative enough to make all this up on my own. This must be a dream. Or a really horrible high. Just then I can feel eyes on me as I contemplate the absurdity of the situation, yet I find a difficulty in trying to tear my eyes away from the two dancing. I manage, and I regret looking away. Oh, the woman from the balcony stands beside me. Oh, she was the servant. I can hear her rattling breath, menacing and chilling. Everything in me screams to run. But something pins me to the spot as she just looks at me, watching and waiting. The clamor of their voices fill the ballroom. Although they say such welcoming words, I do not feel comforted by the madness. Their joyous voices turn sinister and foreboding to my ears. The chorus of people that shouldn't exist, threaten to overwhelm me, drown me even as I stand on dry land. The music still plays as the Phantom Quartet continues where I stand, here, vulnerable and afraid, but the dance has already ended, and I'm afraid that I might just be tonight's entertainment. Attention is all well and good until bollocks like this goes down. These Phantom people watch me, thousands of eyes scrutinizing through though they cheer for my return, cajole me to dance and join the merriment. There are eager hands all over, pulling me in every direction, but they did not move me enough to remove me from the woman's gaze.
Listen. Can you not hear them as they welcome you home? Your kind, our kind. You're one of us, my love. We are bonded by the blood we share.
If I thought the voices were overwhelming before, it has nothing compared to how they are now. Their voices are loud, speaking in unison and echoing ever on in the spaces above my head. They welcome me back as if I've always belonged, as if I was meant to be here in the first place. They call me all these titles and names that do not belong to me, and that man's face, the one with empty eyes, flashes again before me. Once, fleetingly, like a new memory having burned itself in my mind. I have to struggle for air when I come back to myself after.
I'm not. This isn't...
The welcomes turn into screams at my protests, painted in desperate pleas for my help, telling me that it is my duty to stay telling me that I belong among them, to them. Gentle touches turn near threatening, the warning scratches and the baring of teeth by predators before they truly maim. My mouth goes dry as I struggle to speak some sense in this hallucinatory madness, but I don't get a chance as they drown me out.
My prince.
At her words, there is a compulsion to stay, though my heart races in my chest. The fear I should be experiencing refuses to register in my head. Mind and body war with each other, nearly tearing me in two. The compulsion to walk in her arms is strong. Whispers in my head tell me to go to her. They say that she is safety, she is home and hearts. But repulsed at these thoughts, I retch away and turn with a small gasp. Without hesitation, I start to make a run for it. I nearly falter when an angry shriek pierces the air, inhumane and monstrous. I don't dare look back, I just run. I didn't care if this is a drug-induced hallucination or not. Just run. Out of the ballroom. And out of the parlor. It's only then that I bother to look back, hoping and praying to God I scorn that it did not pursue me. I would have run all the way out of the mansion too, if only someone didn't get in my way. I collide with a body much larger than mine and fall back to the ground. Turning my head to the side replaces the colorful light. Fatigue fills every inch of my being, then making me refuse to get up. Meanwhile, a familiar head of ginger hair looks down at me in bemusement.
You really must look where you're going if you insist on running about. Do tell, where is the fire?
Oh, thank God you're here.
I do hope you don't have a concussion. Can you count backwards from 15 to 1 for me?
Oh, fuck off, you wanker. Just help me up.
I do not think insulting me if you do have a concussion is a smart decision. But no, really. 15 to 1.
That woman, she was here. I told you to keep an eye out for her.
The other man offers an arm and pulls me up to my feet then. But before I can storm off and pull him to the ballroom, he anchors me down with one hand on my shoulder and the other touching the back of my head.
No bruising or bump. That still does not mean that you don't have a concussion. If you are too lazy to count backwards, can you tell me your full name? Where are you currently?
We don't have Lucille Mitchell Wright, and this is the Ermengarde bloody fucking foyer. But we don't have time for this.
You must make and have the time to make sure you are not broken in the head. I have already sent security to scour the whole house when I saw you running out of the parlor, Dummkopf. If the woman is here, they will have her. You will only be slowing them down if you plan to interfere.
When he points that out, I realize that there are guards starting to filter into the house as we speak, with some already searching the nearby rooms. Armed and uniformed men go about in pairs, making it so the house is in a flurry of activity. Let's go with me then, with the knowledge that I'm not going to keel over anytime soon.
I was hoping that you would be tired from dealing with the young miss on my return. Instead, you come running and hit your head. Such a troublesome boy. Shall I be carrying you to bed, too?
I can manage just fine on my own. Though I don't see how I can sleep until that woman is caught.
It'll be easier to keep you safe in your quarters. This is twice we've known the woman to break in. I think we can safely presume that you hold her interest.
He says it as a matter of fact in a tone that brook no argument. Not like I'll argue if it means I'm kept safe. The two of us hurry upstairs, though we remain watchful and wary. We make it to the master bedroom without any trouble, though into his security, no problems at all. Not until we get inside. Johan's eye scans the room wildly, a look of dread on his usually stoic face. And I don't understand for a moment. Looking around the bedroom, it's empty. I think that's the problem. It's my wife, but then I realize...
Where's Hannah? She came home with you from the hospital, didn't she?
She's supposed to be here. I sent one of the maids to accompany her here, to let her rest.
I feel the color drain from my face when he raises a hand to stop me from charging out there.
Stay.
I'm not staying in here while Hannah stays out there.
One of the guards will find her and bring her here.
And what if they don't? What if that woman gets to her first? What if she already has her?
That's not possible.
You can't promise that.
There's no second thought as I reach under my side of the bed and pull out one of my knives. I have no doubt that the other man can take me on if we're both unarmed. But with this, I can even the field, or at least deter him from escalating the situation and risk hurting either of us.
I'm going out there to look for Hana, and you're either with me or you aren't. I'm not risking Hana, and I'm not leaving her alone.
Still, like a stubborn mule, he refuses to budge from the door. There's a withering look on him that I try to match. One that somehow I am losing fast to, even with him not saying a word yet.
Can you see yourself in the mirror right now? You are in no proper state to go looking for anyone. If it will make you happy, I will do the looking. But please, and don't make me repeat this, stay where it's safe, where security can find you. We already have one person to be worried about. Please don't add another one to it.
Perhaps it is his tone. In spite of his general disdain for virtually everything that has to do with me, I like to think that over the years he has grown to care for Hana, at least. Much as I hate to admit this, I trust him with my safety over any servant in this house. So,
You have 2
I
hours, Shuriken.
bequeath-
I don't think it'll take that long to find one missing woman in this house. 2 hours. Any more than that, and I'm going out there.
Of course.
Despite his words, he lingers. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he wants to make sure I get in the damn bed and sleep before he turns away from me. What am I, a child? Watching me and treating me like one. There's the reason why we'll never get along.
Well, what are you waiting for?
And the knife?
The knife stays.
Very well.
Only then does he seem to get the hint. With a nod, he leaves, locks, and closes the door behind him. For a moment, I still hear his voice while he gives the guards outside firm instructions, then a hush as soon as he departs and his footsteps fade away. One that doesn't quite last. As quickly as the silence settles, lightning flashes across the sky, followed immediately by the loud boom of thunder. That wanker strikes so dangerously close that I can feel electricity in the air. The power goes out not a second later, and I feel like I'm being mocked by whatever greater power there is. All is deathly still for a moment, but soon the rain starts once again. Far heavier than the light drizzle from this morning. It's pitter-patter harder, hitting hard. What? Despite the noise, I find myself drawn in my bed, exhausted, hoping for a little nap. I'm safe here. Hana will be safe too. Shirokin will find her, and when I wake, she'll be here. It does not take long. Once my head hits the pillow, in a matter of minutes, darkness claims me, bringing with it laughters and whispers of a twisted love from a time long ago, long gone.
Who are you? Stay away!
Yet, in spite of the unfamiliar voices and unwanted touches from shadows lurking in the dark, rousing is a slow, arduous process, difficult, every limb heavier with lead. No matter my aversion for words, they murmur in my ears or the sight of her horrid smile from afar. My body refuses to yield. I am at their mercy. Beyond fathomable reason, my consciousness refuses the pull of the waking world, choosing to linger in the pits of a dream, gradually drawing me deeper into unknown. Somehow, even if it might mean I may never open my eyes, I allow it.
Not belong there, my prince.
Not that I mind getting a few extra hours, of course. The bed's more than comfortable as is after an exhausting day yesterday. Babysitting Kylie, the stress of finding an intruder in my own home, not to mention those bloody eyeballs I left. I think I deserve a little break every once in a while, especially after going through all that in a single day. I can only be on the receiving end of so many unacceptable things within the span of a few hours, you know? As gracious a host and a person I am, my patience has its limits too. Although there's still that problem with Hana, I haven't forgotten that, of course, but that's why I hired Shirokin. He's competent enough. He won't even last a day in my service if he's any lesser than those half-wits who think they can deceive me. He's more than capable of working on his own without guidance. Let the butler take care of that little problem with Hana while Hana.
You do not need her. I am here. We are here. This is where your home is.
How long has it been since? Johan's has never taken this long before.
Surely there should have been an update by now, right?
So why isn't there?
Please don't go.
Bloody hell, the cretins I've surrounded myself with.
And isn't that enough reason to force myself out of bed? As it has always been the case. My eyes fly open, expecting the warm rays of sunshine filtering through the curtains, only to be greeted by a blinding flash of light and a loud boom of thunder that sounded nearly too close to my ears. Strong gusts of wind will occasionally burst in from the open balcony door, bringing in drizzles of cold rain into the room. I must have left it open earlier before dozing off. The carpet on the floor closest to it is already drenched. Anna's going to be so cross when she sees this. Not that it is an immediate problem. If anything, it's this power outage we should be minding first. With the intruder still at large, steering through this darkness might be far more fatal than multiple stab wounds or a gunshot to the chest.
Great, the power's still out. That is exactly what I need right now. Yes.
It's this storm, of course. I should have moved back to the penthouse to weather in it a much more comfortable setting. Already I can hear the creaking groans of this old place as rain beats against the windows.
Johans, has someone been sent to check the circuit breaker yet?
No answer.
Johans?
Silence.
Shroken! Someone! Anyone?
Still nothing, in my cordial mood is quickly
Those idiots when you
dissipating.
need them.
It's really a wonder why he hasn't fixed this yet. Was I really out that long? Can't be. It has only been a few hours after midnight. This time on my wristwatch is anything to go by. Unless I've forgotten to change it again after the last overseas trip a month ago. Though the delay is understandable if he went looking for Hannah as he promised. But bloody hell, my safety's also at stake here. Cursing, I stay still, letting my eyes try and adjust to the darkness while my hands fumble for my slippers. If that butler isn't going to fix this, I may as well order the security posted outside to do it. It's probably just a blown fuse. Anyone with a brain can repair one. Grabbing my jacket and with footwear finally on, I make for the door. Although, in haste, I pause briefly when a gleam catches my eyes. On one of the drawers underneath the clutter I've yet to organize, the muzzle of a gun peeks out. Anna has never openly commented my possession of it, but I know she does not approve of it, knowing the bloody firearms policy in this nation. Of course, I've not found much use for it in the 7 years we've been together, otherwise she would have already had it thrown out years ago. Doesn't mean it won't be useful right now. Without second thought, I seize it, sending the stuff piled above it onto the floor. Whatever. I'll get to it later. This blackout problem should be resolved first. Right next to my missing security detail, as it turns out.
Go?
There were two, weren't there? Shroken had 2 blokes posted to stand guard for the night. I might be panicking for a bit earlier, but I'm quite sure I haven't gotten delusional yet. Wait, did both of them decide to take a break because they think the master's already sound asleep and won't be looking for them?
Damn nitwits!
I know assassinations happen very rarely these days, and even less in a peaceful city like Luxborn, but bollocks. There's been a woman going in and out of this place uninvited who may or may not want to put a knife in my back. And another peasant managed to break into this house just the other day. Isn't that enough reason to stay on alert? I'm fairly certain Shroken won't just enlist their help just for this power outage, only to leave me unprotected. We have a difficult friendship, so to speak, but I doubt the man is an opportunist. holding the lives of his family in my hands, after all. He knows what I'm capable of doing. He's not stupid enough to do anything that'll endanger them and save only himself. So where then? Only my footsteps echo along dark passages. I'm left gripping the handle of my pistol for some sort of comfort. Without proper lighting, and with this storm still raging outside, the stories I've heard about this place seem to have some truth to it. Some. If I'm reaching and wish to entertain myself for a bit, I'll say there might also be ghosts whispering in my ears, calling. Of course, it's just the wind and the trees rustling outside. Nothing good will come of allowing these thoughts to linger when problems are piling up in front of me one after another. Especially with what greets me once I get to the foyer. Though it's dark, the large windows illuminate the area much more easily than any of the other rooms. And from where I stand at the top of the stairs, I can easily make out their forms, recognize them even. It's all gone crazy when these intruders come into my house. I'm no stranger to a cop playing dirty. The smart one knows that neither life nor criminals are going to play fair. But Lily, the estate agent, she doesn't seem the sort. And Daisy too. What with Kylie thinking of her Miss Pink, the poor tyke finds out about this. Not to mention Mint. Anna trusted her. I trusted her to be a professional at the very least, for fuck's sake.
Well, well, what have we here? If I were any less sober, I'd say this is the beginning of a joke.
Bloody trespassers, what is wrong with these people? Do they really think I'll be fine with them walking into my home like this? What are they even doing in here? If I didn't know any better, they might also be behind Anna's disappearance.
That's right, my love.
They must have a motive.
Make them pay
And it better be a good one.
all the wrong they've to us.
Or a bullet to the head is the least of all of them will deserve. I don't make a habit of harming women, of course, but this is just crossing the line.
Let's see. A high school teacher, a real estate agent, and an interior designer walk into a mansion.
Thunder crackles once again, cutting me off. This time it sounds hit close enough that it nearly feels like the windows in the ground itself are rumbling. All is deathly still for a moment. I don't let it stop me, however, as I slowly make my way towards them. Taking one careful step at a time, relishing the expression of fear in their eyes. I suppose there's something ominous in this setting, with the heavy rain outside and the lack of light here. I kinda like it, to be honest. Add something to the atmosphere. I suppose I must look like a villain now. But short of me getting close to them, a noise to my left distracts me, briefly halting my movements while curiosity takes over every murmurs in my head. And it's a good thing, perhaps, that I did, because as soon as I look up, I see him. The detective from a few days ago, the one Lee mentioned. Just as he's about to jump down from furniture that has somehow ended up piled and blocking the door to the parlor. What happened there? Did he really think it's alright to do that in other people's house? Lout.
My lord. Put him in his place.
My hand's already moving before any rationale can stop me. Fingers firm on my gun when oh, not at him, but at his friends. They are his, aren't they? Why else would they be here together? Doesn't matter. I know his kind follows some form of moral standard. He won't let an innocent be harmed, especially people he cares about. My finger on the trigger's more than itching to shoot, but I hold back. Sure, I could have simply taken aim at him. But more than seeing him bleed, I want to see the expression on his face once he realizes everything he's doing is futile. He's trapped. Lives are in my hands. His life's
Had I
in my
known there would
hand.
be a party in my own home tonight, I would have opened a bloody bottle or two. People these days, in my own home. Can you believe it? I feel so left out.
I can tell the exact moment the realization dawns on him. A short second of his body freezing and blood draining from his face as soon as his feet hits the floor and he looks up. He's already a prey trapped by his own recklessness.
Pathetic.
And really, Daisy, even you, what would Kylie say?
Luke, this isn't what you're thinking. You have to listen to us. There's something going on here.
Well, obviously, why else would people be trespassing in my home? What about little Lily over there, then? What's your excuse? Checking back if your clients are doing okay? Is that it? Is this what this is?
Sir, please.
Oh, please, what?
We need to get out of this place. You need to leave.
Tut, not a good enough excuse, darling. You people are the ones who need to get out of my sight. Don't worry, I might consider pressing lighter charges for the woman. Can't say the same for Feathers here, though. But really now. This is how you want to start the week. Why don't we just go with a bloody massacre if we want to surprise people in their homes, huh?
It's just a passing remark, of course. I'm not stupid enough to do something that'll bring negative attention to myself. Reputation and all that, I can't just risk it. The thought of having dead bodies here, ones that I'm not even responsible for, they're the ones who trespassed. It's already quite too much. It'll literally be overkill, especially for someone like me. Ha, I didn't know that. Heh heh. Nevertheless, joke or not, Feathers wastes no time drawing his own gun at the slight wave of my own, at the slight wave, even if he knows it's already too late. Still, he glares at me. Still, he fights back.
Now, Feathers, manners. You're in no position to be pointing that gun at people.
There's no desperation in him like I'm hoping, just an annoyance flickering shortly before him being hidden underneath a challenge. The likes of him are the kind I hate the most, kind of people I hate the most. Even with their failures already glaring down at them, mocking every worthless move they make, they have the impudence to stare people in the eye.
Why don't you put yours down first, and then we'll talk about manners.
Oh, he talks back. The gall! You know, your kind pisses me off so much.
Annoying, most of the time, like a damn pest you can't be rid of. But to some degree, it is commendable. I'll give him that. After all, we're almost the same in that regard. Almost. I'm still the better person, of course. He tells me to put the gun down, but I see no reason why I should. I'm a homeowner. In defense of my own home, I have the right to, I'd like to think. Questionable permit of firearms aside. It's not like I wanted this, but I'm already high-strung and their presence does not help. Bloody peasants. I can never seem to figure out how their minds fully work. Take this one, for example. Despite the pride brimming from in him, how he matches my gaze with glares of his own, he simply lowers his pistol. The tense set in his shoulders tells me as much, but the closest he can get to lowering his own ego in favor of something I can't quite force. Interesting. Gotta admit, I'm almost disappointed.
As you should be, my lord.
I've expected him to hold until one of us shoots the other. Can't say it'll be more exciting that way. A bullet inside any part of my body isn't something I like to have on a bad day like today, or any other day for that matter. But it'll surely be predictable of him. And I'd like predictable. They're the kind of people who are the easiest to deal with, no matter the situation. With them, there's no second guessing what they'll do. He shoots, I shoot, one of us dies, the other walks away. Nothing complicated. Nothing requiring much brain power, just muscle memory and who's the better shooter. End of story. Yet here he is, dragging a deep breath in, setting aside the only thing protecting him. I can easily shoot him this way, be done with this whole farce of a conversation. Instead, I find myself listening. A concession for a person who, in another life, would have also become the person I am today, and his circumstances allowed it. Damn shame. We might have gotten along.
Listen, right, I need you to...
But alas.
You broke into my house, and somehow, you expect me to listen like a good little boy. Are you a bit touched in the head, Feathers? I'm not the one breaking laws here.
Look here, fucker. If I wanted you dead, I could have done it so many times already. In fact, I can easily shoot you down right here, right now, and you won't be able to do a damn thing, even with that gun.
Meeting of two prideful blokes will never go well. Whichever lifetime it is. I can only laugh at his audacity, his lack of shame and fear even facing the business end of my pistol.
You know what I'm thinking right now? In another lifetime, we would have probably gotten along well.
The best truth I can offer him. Not many people, those who have slighted me in particular, live this long to see it.
And he should be grateful. You're already gracious enough, allowing him to stand in your presence like this.
Yes, especially when he has a lot to answer. Preferably right now, because as generous as I've been so far, my patience has its limits. My amusements can only last for so long. Two steps, I'm standing in front of him, grabbing him by the collar and resting the cold muzzle of the eagle against his temple.
Luke, no!
He'll end up pretty smear on the wall. Why would I shoot him?
What is it that you people really want with me? This is the third time this week, and I'm really getting weary of this little game. Did the NCA send you to apprehend me? Or has somebody paid you off to kill me? Which one is it, Feathers? Mind you, my arm's getting tired. Better answer quick if you don't want to beat the business end of this gun.
And he knows it. Of course he does. He's a trained officer, isn't he? But not many bother to be as cautious as him. One glimpse at my handgun safety earlier is all it took for him to see I mean business. Similar, too similar. We're too alike in so many little ways, it's funny. Down to the fact he doesn't even flinch, no matter how heavy the threats in my words are. Even knowing how one flick of my finger on the trigger will be enough to end his sorry life. He should have caved in by now, started begging like so many others before him. Instead, he throws more virtual, adding more kindling to a fire
I'm
already
not with
burning.
NCA. I'm just here to help. There's something else in this house, and we're all in danger. You have to believe me, right? You need to let us go. You need to get out of here before it's too late. If you want to keep your sorry ass alive, you'll listen to people with more brain cells than you.
Igniting it further that I can't help but return it to him with equal fervor. We don't need him.
Why,
Oh.
you insolent!
We both decide to move in that moment, both our bodies tensing, each of us racing to get ahead of the other. Oh. However, before we can even get a head start, a voice unexpectedly rings above the chaos about to ensue.
Hannah?
Oh, Luke, darling, my love. What do you think you're doing out here this late?
The woman that stands there is the one that I married, the love of my life. So why is it that she looks like she now makes me feel so revolted? Makes it so there's just general sense of wrongness in the way she smiles at me.
Hannah! Oh, thank goodness, it's just you. Oh, you gave me quite the fright. We've been looking all over for you.
Saying this makes my tongue feel heavy. I'm so used to lying, to putting on a face, but this just feels so wrong. Such a small lie, yet a big one at that. To be afraid at the sight of my own wife for no apparent reason is illogical, yet her mere presence has been disturbing. From her suddenly devoted and near dependent nature, her obsession and possessiveness to her strange way of speaking, something has been wrong with Hannah as of late. I didn't want to admit it, but it was almost as if she turned into another person overnight. And looking up at her now only seems to solidify this. It's almost as if I can't recognize my own wife.
Fetch me. Whatever for, my prince.
Look, that doesn't matter right now. You need to get out of this house right now, alright? Stay in the penthouse for a while.
Leave our home? What if I wish to stay?
It's not safe here, darling. Now is not the time to explain. Just listen to me. Okay, Buttercup?
I hold out my hand to her in the hopes that she won't ask any more questions. I shove away the ill thoughts I have about her and how it is not the wife I've married. People change, and now is not the time to have some sort of existential crisis about it. Her safety is priority right now, and I'll feel better about it that all this is, well, as I can have her by my side, but she barely budges from her place up the stairs, let alone take my hand. And the way she looks at me just sends chills down my spine.
Why should I? Is something the matter? What about you? Are you not coming with?
What was I supposed to say? Where to even start? Maybe just confess there's some crazy lady roaming around and I'd really like it if we just stayed safe.
You just need to leave for a while so I can let security sweep the place. And someone has to be there, yes? To supervise and all. That'll be my job, Buttercup.
Still, nothing. She doesn't move from where she stands, still with that amused grin on her face, as if some funny joke and she's the only one that can see the punchline.
But I do not wish to leave. And you should not either. You've just arrived, my prince. This is your home. Our home. Would you really allow others to drive us away from it?
Be that as it may, it is dangerous here right now, and I'd rather have you safe than, oh, I don't know, comfortable or whatever argument you wish to bring up. This is ridiculous, Hana. We shouldn't be discussing this. You need to leave now. Let me handle things here, Buttercup.
It is then that her expression turns absolutely horrific and everything turns to complete and utter shite. Anna's body shudders and shakes, golden yellow hair slowly stained with inky black, and her face melts into that of the woman, the maid from before, with a menacing expression on her face. Along with it is the shifting of the very ground we stand on. It's a slow thing, a whisper more than a bang as the darkness creeps into every corner of the room. The walls shudder and groan, blood runs from the ceiling, crawls down the walls, and stains the floor. It feels as if life itself is being sucked from the house slowly but surely. The beauty of the place is gone, with only the dead, decaying remains of the mansion left in its wake. I don't have to wonder if it's just the foyer that's become this nightmarish place. I can already hear it. Gone are the growling of thunder and the lashings of rain and wind against the foyer's high windows. All of it has been replaced by a more grating sound. Oh, a comedy of voices from nowhere and everywhere, echoing throughout the now horrid walls. Voice that neither belongs to us nor the people who live
What's
here.
going on?
All throughout the house, shouts of alarm and surprise ring out, a mirror to the horror creeping up in each of us. Who wouldn't be shocked? This is insane. Even Daisy, feisty woman that she is, trembles at the sight of it, clinging desperately to Lily while Feather stands protectively in front of the two. Brave of him, I have to admit, to put self in front line like that. Though it doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't feel the same fear as the rest of us. Something I don't blame him for. There seems to be no end in sight to this insanity. If anything, this only feels like it's the beginning of the end.
Help me! Oh my god! Please, somebody! Anybody! Who are you? Stay away!
No. Stay away. Stay away.
No! She's here! You've got to let me out! She's gonna kill me! Someone!
Rest in peace, Zach. Their screams fill the mansion. She laughs all the while, harsh, agonizing sound that goes on for what feels like forever. Until there is nothing but silence, her horrid smile and pale hands reaching out to me. Calling, beckoning, pleading. I'm terrified, I really am, like I should be, but I have never been one to truly stay afraid. I've long learned, cowering in a corner doesn't keep me safe, and if it will not keep me alive, not like rage does. I've learned to use this burning hate inside of me to survive. There's no difference now.
Stay away from me!
Why do you wish to leave? This is where you belong, my lord. Remember the blood we share? This is your home. Don't you remember? You promised to return, to stay. Together with me, with us, with people no different from you.
Don't listen to her, she lies. I promised no such thing to anyone. We bought this house weeks ago. How should I know what she's babbling about? I never even wanted to be here in the first place.
terrible case of mistaken identity. That must be it. I'm quite sure of it. I don't know this woman, this monster. Why would I say that to someone like her? In my entire lifetime, I've only made and kept sincere promises to a mere two people, Hannah Evans and Eleanor Chandler. No one else. The rest of those who claim I've promised anything to can go fuck themselves. Bloody hell, I may enjoy the company of the woman, but I'm not an idiot to start spouting such nonsense to anyone. A line must be drawn, especially if I'm to keep myself alive. Yet, she still goes on, insists making me appear a liar in front of these people.
Of course you still deny it. Have you truly forgotten? You haven't changed, I see. Still a deceiver.
She's lying!
You see, my love, nothing has changed. Still no difference, you and I. Just like the rest of us. Just like every single soul in this putrid wreck. We've waited for so long. You can hear them, yes. Their pleas. Their calls. Their invitation. Come, my lord. The house seeks its master.
She, the monster, reaches out again, her hands a gory, abhorrent sight, along with that smile spread across her face. My body's already moving on instinct, stumbling back one step at a time in a desperate bid to be away from her. Anything to put distance between me and this vile creature. No matter what she says, I am nothing like her. I need to get out of this house. Out of this country, preferably. There's nothing for me here, not anymore, nothing to keep me tied to this place. With Hannah beyond saving, no longer the same woman I knew, and Shroken likely taken by this woman, nothing's left to bind me to this wretched city. I can leave, I can... Ooh, my footsteps on something's sending me sliding. Beside me, a paper familiar. Oh, it's this thing again from the open house, though it feels like a gimmick, and more like a threat with the recent events. Must have fallen from one of those peasants in the commotion earlier. For a moment they appear conflicted to see it in my hands, but wisely keep their opinions to themselves. Leaving this damn thing to simply bear its grisly message for everyone in the room to see. Help me. Help me. Help me. Is this it? Is what's been telling us why everything in my life has gone to shite? Because of some stupid old letter? An invitation indeed, one I am not willing to accept. Not any time. From the top of the stairs, the creature moves again, drawing my attention back to her. Her gait remains slow and awkward as she walks forward, that smile never leaving her. But I won't give her the chance. I am not dying here. I certainly am not giving myself to a hideous creature like her either. Adrenaline kicks in, and despite panic gasps and worried glances from Daisy's friends, I pay them no mind as I reach for the main door, and, without warning, it slams open, revealing not just the mansion grounds like I'm expecting. Before my mind can even comprehend what's happening, black tendrils have already coiled tightly around my limbs, dragging every portion of the foyer into this room. None of us even get to scream when darkness completely envelops us upon the doors closing.
Understand where your place is now, my love. You belong here. Is it so difficult to grasp? We've been waiting.
Okay, we're gonna stop it right there, folks, and I will see you probably for the conclusion of the letter.